He's going to be joining us here right now. There he is. Coach, what's going on, man? First and foremost, good to see you. Second of all, you guys lost some pieces last year, but you still got some starters coming back, some rotation guys coming back. What's the key to Binghamton basketball this upcoming season?
Well, for the past few years, our biggest Achilles heel was we weren't able to shoot the ball and make shots consistently. Not shoot the ball, we were able to shoot, but we weren't able to make shots consistently. And so we really tried to address that in off season. I think if we can continue to defend, I think we were top 3 in the league in points allowed per game last year. So if we can continue to do that, but also make some shots, I think we give ourselves a chance to be even better than we were last year. Even though I think our team was more talented last year, I think we can be a better team this year.
Yeah, I mean, you bring 2 starters back, obviously Benson and Chenery, who are older, and that's the key, right? I mean, let's face it. Right now, the key is Beal, Stale, retention, all of that. You lost some other guys, but you also bring back some of those complementary pieces as well. Gavin Walsh, Evan, Chris Walker. How good do you feel about, again, that combination of retention and then bringing in a couple high school kids, some transfers? To me, it's like the perfect mix, especially at your level, to be able to win and keep this thing and building on it.
Yeah, I think the thing about Taimu and Nehemiah, Benson and Chenery, is that they're older, but the roles that they're going to have this year are going to be new, right? And we've had some struggles with that already because, as I tell these guys, like everybody wants to come back and everybody wants, to get money and all those kind of things, but they don't understand the things that come with that, right? And we don't have money, so let me just say that right away. But Taimu, for example, had an opportunity to go and go somewhere else, right? And he had schools reaching out to him, and he wanted to come back and be the number 1 option. Well, to start the summer, he's not performing or being the leader that he needed to be, right? And so I had to, many times address him. I had to address Nehemiah and let these guys know, like, you guys want to be the number 1 option, but you didn't. And when you was making that decision to come back, you didn't think about, I have to work the hardest in the weight room. I have to, get these guys to gel together as a team. I have to be a playmaker. I just can't worry about myself now. And so, yes, we have guys that are coming back, but we have guys that's going to be in new roles. And so we've had some growing pains with that. But I do like, some of the new guys that we added. We've added some guys that, like I said, that can make some shots and should take some pressure off of these guys. Inside, Nehemiah is going to be a guy that we're going to count on to score for us inside. Taimu is going to be a guy that we're going to count on to be a playmaker and make plays for not just for himself, but for others. And so some of the new guys we got coming in should be able to make shots and keep the defense honest.
How do you develop leadership in a player? If you want to get better as a shooter, just get on the gun and get some shots up, right? You want to improve your ball handling, go out and do dribbling drills. You want to jump higher, go do some squats, right? How do you develop leadership in these 21 and 22-year-old kids?
Yeah, it's by, number 1, making them aware of it. A lot of times, and our guys, I think this is the quietest team I've ever been around, even as a player. Like, I've never been around a team that's this quiet, right? It's kind of like it's almost, when I come into practice sometime, it just makes me feel weird, because we're so quiet. So Taimu, for example, is a quiet guy, kind of goes about his business, but you have to make him aware of, like, this is how you need to behave as a leader, right? This is what you need to do, and then you have to hold him accountable to that, right? I was talking to him before practice. Just before practice, I talked to him. We had we scrimmaged against each other on Saturday, and I thought he could have did some things better, leadership wise, just by when things are not going right, like bringing guys together, and not going separate ways. And so you just have to make these guys aware of what a leader is and how they go about their business, and leadership looks different for a lot of different people, but I think the one thing that's constant is that you have to go out and do it by your actions. And then you have to be able, once you do it by your actions, because people see you're doing it, then you can go out and hold people accountable, like hold your teammates accountable. So I think it's awareness and then it's accountability.
All right. Give me an example of a play call in check.
Bexa.
And what does Bexa mean?
Bexa is it was the not mascot, but it was almost like what the team that I played for and coached in Czech. It was what they called themselves, Bexa. So we also have Jedna. Jedna is one in Czech. We also have Pivo. Pivo is beer in Czech. So
So
we have a lot of.
what do your players think when all of a sudden you throw out these words? They have no idea. Do they know you played in the Czech Republic first, and you speak basically almost
Yeah.
fluent Czech, right?
Yeah, they know. So what happens is when I first took over, I kind of wanted to just it was still kind of like, because my wife is Czech, all right. So I hear a lot of Czech in the house. She speaks to our kids in Czech, and so it was just something it was on my mind, and I know how important scouting is, right? I know how important it is for coaches to be looking down and listening to what you're saying and writing it down. And so it's always interesting to really know if these guys are doing that and they're writing it down, what they are writing, because it's not some of the stuff is not in English, and so I'm always kind of interested in that.
Trying to throw them off. So this was all a ploy to throw other coaches off.
Right, because coaches worry too much about scouting. So I try to pick easy, simple words, 1 or 2 syllables, where we can catch it. Sometimes they ask me what it means. A lot of times they ask my daughter. I have a 10-year-old, and she's fluent in English and Czech, and so a lot of times they ask her what it means, because a lot of times I haven't even told them what the words mean. So, but yeah, we have some new ones this year that we'll use, and it's just something to keep it light and keep it fun.
Masood Stewart, stepping into a little bit more of a point guard role this year. What have you seen out of him? Where has his development been? And do you think he's going to be ready for the larger responsibility that might be thrust on his shoulders in that spot?
Yeah, he hasn't developed the way that we expected. I think he could work a lot harder than he works. And so he knows that nothing is going to be given to him. We brought in a kid, Jaden Lamont from William and Mary, who's playing his butt off. And so Masood is going to have to earn it if he is going to get the role. But he needs to work a little harder. He's injured right now, so that's another thing, is he's been injured a lot. He misses a lot of the preseason, and so it's hard to kind of just throw him right in when he misses so much practice. But he will play. He's going to have to play. And I think that he knows exactly what he needs to do. And now it's just a matter of him. We talk a lot about execution. Now it's just a matter of him going out and execute it, and being able to do the things we need him to do. And that's push the ball in transition. That's guard. That's run the team, not turn the ball over.
Hey, Levell, I don't know if you knew, but Doster is a huge UConn guy. Huge. And I don't know if Doster knows this, but you played a couple years with Dan Hurley back at Seton Hall. You were, I can't remember if you were young. Are you younger than him or older than him?
Yeah, I'm younger than him. I was a freshman. He was a junior, I think, junior, I think.
Right, you played 2. Yeah. So you played your freshman and sophomore year. He was a junior and senior. All right, give me your best Dan Hurley story playing alongside Dan Hurley. Please give me something.
It's probably great. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't know how great it is, but it's probably the one thing that he always says to me as soon as I see him, and he be like, "Can I curse on here?"
Yeah, you can.
Okay. He'd be like, "Man, you're an asshole," and I'd be like, "What you talking about?" Because when my sophomore year, his senior year, we played against Allen Iverson at Georgetown. He scored 40 points on us, and I picked up 2 early fouls, and so my responsibility as a sophomore was like to guard all of the other team's best perimeter players. So Danny was taking all of the shots, and then he had to guard Iverson for a good portion of the first half, and he scored. He got a lot of that 40 points were scored on him, and so he always, every time he sees me, he's like, "Hey, you're an asshole. You picked those 2 early fouls." So I would have to guard Iverson, you know. So that's the thing he always says to me every time I see him.
I'm writing that down right now because I'm going to be asking him about that. I heard Allen Iverson put 40 on your head.
Yeah, man. And I remember we were leaving the arena, and he was just like, "Man, God is not fair." And I'm like, "What you talking about?" He was like, "Man, that kid is way too talented, you know." So I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
It was.
Not fair. All right. You mentioned Jaden Lamond. Who else are the the transfers that you have coming in have surprised you or maybe impressed you or you think could end up having a big role on this team?
Yeah, you know, besides Jaden, Ben Callahan Gold coming from Trinity, he's a really good shooter. Again, something that we really desperately needed. He's been a pleasant surprise. You know, coming from the Division 3 level, you never kind of know how guys are gonna, you know, get along at the Division 1 level. But he's been really good. And the kid Wes Peterson from Delaware, who didn't really play much there, he's been a pleasant surprise. I mean, he can guard, he can play multiple positions, kind of like the guys we like to recruit. Just a guy that can play multiple positions, that can guard. Really good kid. You know, he came in early and had some health issues, but he's probably been with us about a month and a half now, and he's getting better and better and better. So those three guys, and obviously we brought in the kid Jackson Benigni from Stonehill, who averaged 11 points a game at Stonehill, but he's had some health issues, and so he's actually just getting back and being with us. So he's looked pretty good since he's been back. And then we got a kid from Houston Christian, Dominic Capriati, who's a really good shooter. And so again, he's another guy that's going to be able to create some space for us and knock some shots down.
All right, I got one more, and only because there's no BS with you. You're a Brooklyn guy. You could tell, like you're not capable of BSing anybody. I just want to know overall your thoughts on the way that, especially as a former player at Seton Hall, the way the game has gone right now. And again, NIL hasn't probably affected you yet because, like you said, you don't have the money. But overall, players transfer and realignment. You see what some of these kids are getting. Good, bad. What do you like? What do you hate?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was playing right now. That's one thing I wish.
Of course you do.
But no, I'm really excited that guys are able to and girls are able to get paid and make some money. I think it's long overdue. I just think that a lot of times when the NCAA kind of does things, it's I don't know if things are really thought through. I think they just kind of throw things out there and expect the universities to kind of you know manage it all. So you can see a ton of coaches are leaving the game and are leaving college sports because it's not in the right place. And so I obviously I think there needs to be some type of regulations and the system needs to be fixed a little bit in terms of what can and can't happen. So I mean I'm all for guys transferring. I just think that I think everybody's kind of saying the same thing. It's not teaching these student athletes to struggle a little bit, have some ups and downs. That's what life is about. Life is not, easy. I didn't have it easy. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't have it easy. And so we had to struggle and get through all of the struggles. But there's always lessons to be learned. And I think the kids are missing a lot of those valuable lessons that can happen. And, I remember with me, my freshman year, I mean, PJ Carlson recruited me to Seton Hall. He leaves that summer, goes to the Portland Trailblazers. You know, Coach George Blaney comes in, have Coach Blaney for 3 years, and then after that, he gets let go, and then Coach Amica comes in, right? So that's three different staffs you're dealing with, and so I could have easily, jump ship every time, right? But I'm happy I was able to stick it out and go through, and then all of those relationships that I've built with those different coaching staffs and different people is probably the reason why I'm in a place where I'm at today. So I think there needs some it needs to be some correction, and hopefully something will come sooner rather than later.
I just want to clarify one thing, Levell. The most difficult thing that Goodman's ever dealt with in his life is having to leave the pool to make it to class at the University of Arizona
It
in
was
his
hard.
sixth season, in his sixth year as an undergrad. So let's
Brutal.
put that
Right.
into context. Okay. Listen,
Oh
man, we
yeah.
appreciate the
I mean,
time.
6 years now.
Uh,
That's 6 years now is nothing.
Exactly.
yeah,
Why didn't I go
Goodman,
another year? I mean, come on.
Right.
Goodman had a COVID year before COVID existed. We appreciate the time, man. Always great to hear from you, and
Thanks, man.
I will definitely be using that little bit of dirt that you just gave me on Dan Hurley at some point this season.
Okay.
So I do appreciate that greatly. This has been America East Media Day here on the Field of 68.